Okay, today I got this big work truck. It's a big F-150. They need to inner and outer tie rod. So you can see right here from a much better angle, I can move this tire. Now what it is, you can tell if it's inner or outer because the inner is closer to the engine, outer is on the outside. The inner is the long bar, and usually the outer is like a little small, like 90-degree L-shaped hook, like a ball joint. But you can look up under it as you shake the tire, like. And as I'm doing that, I can clearly see the inner tie rod, the one closer to the engine, is not moving at all. It's stationary. The joint on the end, hold up. Welcome to my neighborhood. We get busy over here. But anyways, you can see on the outer one, as you move it, the joint that it's connected to that's going down into the housing, it's shaking back and forth like this real bad. Now, to do a quick fix, you could just do the outer and be done. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace the inner and the outer on both sides. This is his work truck. So I'm pretty sure it's been overcompensating because he's been steering a lot and having to fight with steering. So I'm pretty sure the inner and the outer has probably a little play. On this side, for sure, it has a lot of play. But on that side, he's probably been trying to fight steering it. So it's been overcompensating on that side. I'm gonna do all of it. Then I gotta align it. Okay, now that I got the wheel off, I can show you better. This here is your inner tie rod. That inner is usually connected, it's got a boot on there because there's like a little grease fitting in there and everything. And this is your outer right here. This little small piece right here is your outer. As you can see, this is completely destroyed. See all that? That is nuts right there. Let me kind of focus in on that so you can see better. So that's completely destroyed right there. So there's probably water got in there. This thing's all rotten and everything else. So when I move it, like I can shake it like this. All right, so now you can see it like right here where it's all chunked up. You can see it when I move it. See that? It's completely just like gone. So that's what he's getting as he's driving. He's getting that shaking right there. It's shaking real bad like this. And as he's turning the wheel, sometimes it'll cock real fast, so it'll make him overcorrect. But that's what you get right there when your outer tie rod is completely shot, rotted out. Now the first thing you want to do is, this is a castle nut. It's got like a pin goes through it, like a cotter pin's going through it. You want to get the, don't unloosen that yet, leave that on here, but you can get the cotter pin off if you want to. First thing you're going to do is you're going to unloosen this bolt here. That's just kind of like your locking bolt after you make your adjustment. You're going to lock that in. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen that up just to get that loose. Then I'm going to come back through and I'm going to take this castle nut off. Yeah, so I'm going to loosen this up first real quick. Let me see if I can get this on here. I'm going to loosen this up. Shouldn't be too hard to do. There we go. Now it's loose, so that's loose right there. You don't want to undo it all the way, just enough just to loosen it right there. So now that that's loose real quick, I'm just gonna turn this like this. I'm not really doing it, I'm just setting it back up. Now I'm gonna do my castle nut right here. So I'm gonna get this off. I'm gonna get this cotter pin off right here. I'll be moving the hell out of this camera. All right. So the cotter pin, you just kind of loosen it up. Then you can slide it back through. It's a hole right there. Tap it back through. Pull it out the other side here, because you just pull it out. So that's all you're pulling out right there. So you straighten it out, push it through, pull it out. Now your castle nut should be sitting there like that. You can loosen this up. Remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So turn it to the left. There you go. And I thought I had it. All right, there you go. Hang off because it don't make a difference. Man, that thing is real loose. Probably won't even have to beat it with a hammer. This thing might just drop straight out. That's how loose this thing is. And this is his work truck. It's usually full of tools and equipment and stuff like that. So for this to be his work truck, yeah, not good. Look at that. I didn't even have to touch it with a hammer. And that shows you how much rust and everything it is. Look at that. That thing is like shot right there. Thing's all shot. Thing's torn up. So now I can just take this off because I already loosened it up right there. I can unscrew this and that should be done. Like I said, this is the steps you want to take if you're only replacing your outer. So, and like I said, I didn't move that a lot, so you don't have to make a huge adjustment. That's just your tightening screw, like your little retention bolt or whatever. So as long as you get this piece off here, let's see, that's done right there. Then you'll have your new one. So this is your new one right here. And there you go. And this one has a grease fitting on the back. So you're gonna, once you're finished, you're gonna put your little grease fitting nozzle. That's inside of your packet here. You got your grease fitting nozzle right there, and you got your cotter pin right here. So you have everything you need. This one is factory, so there's nothing on the back of it. It's complete. It's factory piece. But this one has a grease fitting on the back so you can grease them up. There should already be grease down in there. As I'm looking down in there, yeah, it's full of grease. But if you wanted to grease it, knock yourself out. And all you do is just put this one back on here like that. And then you'd, come on thing, quit screwing with me. Yep, so then you screw it all the way back on. You drop it back, drop it up into the hole like that, and then you're done. This, I'm gonna replace my, like I said, I'm doing the outer two, this piece here. This has enough tension on it. It's pretty good. Like, it's got enough tension to hold itself up and everything. If it was completely worn out, you lift it and it would just drop back down all of a sudden. This one has a little tension left. It's not very strong though. It's kind of weak. So what I'm gonna do is, what's up, Evers? What's good, brother? Oh man, always working, brother. That's my neighbor Evers right there. That's my dog. Yeah, so it has enough tension in it to hold it up, but it's like, it won't drop. So you could actually leave it on here and make it through. I don't want to do that. I just want to replace all of it. Okay, so what I did on this one is like I said, I just took this little pin off with a set of pliers. Here's my little pliers right here. Got that off. This just slides forward. So once it slides forward, that's what your inner tie rod looks like. It's got nice, this is not a completely round one. When you have the completely round ones, it's a different way you got to get them off. This one actually has straight sides on it. So you can actually use this wrench to get it off if you want to, or use the tool that I got to get it off. I'll probably use this one just to snap it on here and turn it. But I do have the long inner tie rod tool. It looks like a real long, looks like a black mag flashlight, and it goes all the way up and you just twist it and it cranks it off real easy. Okay, so I was cranking on it with this wrench here. Not really cranking on it, but it wouldn't even fit. Like, that piece is so big, it wouldn't even fit, man. I'm like, holy crap. So what I did was, I went and got my bigger one. Yeah, this is probably like a good 12-inch. That was my 18-inch. This is my big boy right here. This is what you take off fire hydrants and shit with right here. This thing's massive right here. It's like, yeah. If you want to take off a fire hydrant hose, get you one of these. 18-inch right there. That thing is massive. Okay. So I got that off now. Like I said, I'll probably just wipe it down a little bit. Really don't have to, but I just do it just to make sure, you know, everything's out of it. What the new kit gave me was some that's a Loctite. So I got some red Loctite. You got blue and you got red. This is the red. That's super Loctite right there. Blue is kind of like medium. That right there is what you use for like engine bolts and everything. So that's the old piece, came right off easy when you got a really big wrench coming off. And this is the new one. It's got like a protective coating around it. You can just pull that little piece off right there. You're ready to install it. But should just go right on. I'll end up putting that. I'm gonna take that boot off, and it got zip ties on this. I think I got something that can actually clamp on there. So I'm gonna pop this off and put an actual clamp on there, just because not that it's gonna come off. This did okay, it seems, but I'm gonna take it off and put a clamp on there. I was looking through my garage and I found one. So this one will work right here. I took the zip ties off. I'm gonna use this on there. Should be fine. So the first thing I want to do before I get it going, remember that Loctite? I cut the tip of that thing off. So now let's add a little bit of Loctite to it. So you can see it's kind of wrapping itself around. So kind of let it drip down, because once you start putting threading on there, it's going to stay on there. And I'm going to thread it on here real quick. Start working it on there. There it is. It's already locked in, so it's pretty good. All right. Kind of screw that in there. And once it's all the way screwed in, what I'm going to do, so I'm gonna lock it, take this off, because you got to put the boot on. So take this off right here, because once I finish locking that on, I'm gonna throw the boot on there. Like I said, and you get your big wrench, get your big wrench and just kind of lock that on there. Let's see. Yep, it's nice and tight. Whoops, here you go right here. I kind of lock that on there. Yeah, that's gonna be nice and tight right there. Alright, and once I'm gonna check it for tightness and everything else like that, but right now it's got the Loctite on there. So I lock that on there. I'm gonna put everything back together again. I'm gonna slide my boot on. Like I said, once you slide your boot on, then you can put your little retention nut or whatever you call it right here. Then you're gonna have to start working on your outer tie rod. And once you work your outer tie rod back on, you're gonna try to get everything lined up perfectly and as close as I can before I start doing my alignment. So now we start working with the outer tie rod. You know, you just kind of like start the process of getting this thing locked on here. Somebody went by, they need some brakes like I'm on the movie. All right, let's get this thing started to get it going. All right, there we go. So now it's started. So now when it started, you just kind of Get this thing going like this. I'm not going to put it all the way on yet because I want to make sure that my wheels are straight and lined up as close as they can before I start my alignment process. And remember, this one goes in like upside down like this because it's going to go up in there like that because it starts big at the bottom and it works small to the top, which lets you know that this thing has to be wedged up in there. Man, that thing's tight, man. Woo. All right, so now I'm going to start with that. Like I said, move all this stuff out the way. Well, what I might want to do is put my grease fitting on while I got it down. Because remember, you got this little grease fitting right there, a little silver ball. So I can put that on right here at the top. It's going to go right into the back of there. So I can put my grease fitting on now just to have it on there. And then start working with getting this stuff lined up. Okay, and there's my grease fitting that's on there like that. I just tightened it down with a wrench real quick. It's not too hard to do. All right, so what I did is that, as you can see, I'm starting to work it up from the bottom right there. You don't want to beat it or bang it in because once you put the cast nut on there, you're going to tighten it down like this right here. You're going to put this just on the top and you're going to start tightening it down and everything. I don't want to start it yet because I want to make sure that my wheels are as close to alignment as possible. So I'm kind of standing in front of the car looking this way, looking that way, just trying to make sure this thing is lined up perfectly. I mean, a good way what you could have did it was if you would have got let's say you would have got a pin and you would have drew a straight line. Whoops, let me do like this real quick. Let me show you. Because this whole arm could come off right here, what you would have did was you could have got a pin and drew a straight line right from here to here. And once those lines would have lined up, then your wheel should have been in alignment as far as good. But because I have to realign it anyways, because of how this thing was all jacked up, I didn't do it. But a lot of people, because you got a upper control arm connected to this knuckle, you can like draw a straight line straight down and say, as long as those two are lined up, it's where it was at first. Okay, and so what I did was as I was tightening it down, I made sure when I tightened it, I left this hole right here open. Because I want to slide this back through there again. So that way my cotter pin goes through here. Make sure that you leave that castle nut opening right where your cotter pin hole is. Otherwise, it won't slide through. Because if you overdo it, it'll hit the back of that. All right, now that I got it locked down in there, I bent my cotter pin each way. And I'm going to move this just until it's like in a good locker position. Now, when you do your actual alignment, what you're going to do is you don't move the outer tie rod. When you do your alignment, you're going to move the inner. That's why this thing has notches around here, because what you'll do is, depending if you want to move it in or out, you get a wrench and you just work it around. So you'll let it know if you go that way, oh man, I forgot to put the thing on here. So, wait a minute. Yeah, so you get your wrench, you just kind of turn it around here, and that'll either pull your outer out or it'll pull your inner back in, depending on how far you want to move this tire in or out. Okay, and I found something else out too. You see this piece right here? Remember when I took this part off a long time ago? That was on this here. Since I already had all this connected, I couldn't put this back on. All it is just the clamp around the end of that dust boot to make sure water and dust doesn't get in. So I ended up adding just like a little clamp right here. So I added that clamp. This light is bright. So I added that small clamp right there just to keep the dust and the water out. And that's basically what it is. Like I said, now you can get the wheel, shaking it. You don't hear that clunking. The wheel doesn't move. It's on there pretty firm. Top and bottom. If you do top and bottom, that'll let you know if your ball joint and your upper control arm is tight. But there it is. So the outer tie rods are on. This wheel won't budge at all. Like it's on there pretty good. Now this is where I was telling you about, you know, if you don't want to have trouble aligning, but since the other part was bad and I couldn't align it anyways, this part is good. So like I said, there was no wheel shake or anything, so I think this is aligned perfectly. I aligned it while I was driving. So you're going to get you like a straight edge, and this right here is like a pin, like a white pin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with that bolt right there, damn near right down the center of that bolt, and I'm going to go like this. So that lets me know that when those two lines line up, after I take all this apart, those two lines line up, that should be my alignment point. And I can always test it with this. Like it shouldn't be way over here like this. It should be straight lined up with the center of that bolt down there. So we go, let's do like this. We got that, then we'll go here with this bolt right here. So now we got 3 perfect lines. So those 3 lines should line up no matter what. If those 3 lines line up, this wheel is exactly where it went. Damn killer dog, I swear. Listen. Okay, you know how I told you the other side was where his issues was. He said it's all driver's side. That's what he wanted to replace. I said, well, I'll do both sides. Now, this is passenger side. You see how it looks good? It looks pretty good. But check this out. Look, that's with one finger. You shouldn't be able to do that with an outer tie rod. Look, it's one finger. You just move it. And this is the brand new one right here. Look, I can't move it at all. Well, one finger, two finger, nothing. You can't. It's too tight. Like, I'm pulling it with all I got. With one finger, I can't pull it. That's the outer tie rod. You can't pull it at all. But look at this one, just barely. I mean, you could just move it all over you want to. You could just, this thing is flimsy. When you got one side that's damaged, and mechanics be like, well, replace both. And people be like, no, I don't want to replace both. I just hear the sound from one side. Replace both sides. Because if one side is damaged, the other side is overcompensated for it. Look at that. And I'm going to show you something else. Remember how I showed that other inner tie rod, how it was sticking straight up? Look at this inner tie rod. Look. See that? That's your inner tie rod. Remember I said the last one was just, when I moved it, even though it was new, I moved it up like this and it stayed up like that. Look at that. That's the inner tie rod. This is the side that didn't have any problems. Because he was like, yeah, it's only driver's side. I said, well, I'll just do both sides. Look at that. That's your inner tie rod. And this is your outer tie rod. Now that I got the boot off, let me show you what I'm talking about with that inner. Look at this. That's all. That's the inner tie rod. It's completely blown. Your inner tie rod should be, whenever you move it, it should stay right where it goes. It should be just like this when it stays there, wherever you move it. And it should be hard to move. This is flimsy as hell. Like I said, and this wasn't even the side that he wanted replaced. Okay, so I put everything back together. I just got to tighten this bolt here down. But as you can see, my lines, they all line up. There we go. Bam, bam, bam. So all three of my lines line up. So everything's like aligned by eye. I still got to drive it. Once I drive it, then I'll be able to see if it's really aligned or not.